What's going on, everyone? So the Houston Rockets have just been absolutely special, right? They are a lot of fun to watch. I mean, they are just a really fun basketball team. They have young, youthful talent, athleticism. They're deep, right? Like they have multiple guys that on any given night can just really put out a performance. Obviously, they have Green and Şengün, who are like kind of their two stars of now and the future. They're both incredibly young, right? Like this is that team that feels like they are on the come up, right? Stay the course. And look, Houston, they're like half a game out of the one seed in the Western Conference, which is a testament in and of itself. But where are like the Houston Rockets really, right? Because they're the team that is like constantly linked to all these stars, Kevin Durant and Giannis and all that, right? In my opinion, I think they need to stay the course. Unless, just that top tier guy becomes available and it's like, like he could be the difference maker. They are on the right path. And we have seen several times teams just completely sabotage themselves. I mean, Minnesota recently did that. I think Sacramento made a foolish decision going and getting a DeMar DeRozan. The Atlanta Hawks, right, are in the conference finals. Right? Like they end up going and instead of just staying the course, go and get a DeJounte Murray and just cost you a couple years, right? Like you see it all the time. Teams just thinking that we're right there and then end up just making some silly trying to expedite it move or, we were really bad in this, so we need this. Like, stay the course. Very good basketball team. Are they a contender? No, I don't believe so. We see this every year. Right? Saw it with, Memphis a couple seasons ago. You saw it with, Sacramento Kings right, a couple seasons ago. Right? Every year there's that team or two. I mean, even the Thunder last year went from a play-in team to all of a sudden they were, a top seed. You see it every year that just the young, athletic, run and gun, can light it up over an 82-game series. Really can have an impact. Right? But then you see once you get to the playoffs, the lack of experience, game tightens up, defenses, the pace isn't as fast, defenses adjust, you're playing a top team every night, right? Like it's a very different circumstance. And that's why you see usually these young teams, like even OKC last year, ends up losing in the second round, right? Usually these young teams end up kind of fizzling out. On occasion you'll see them get to the conference finals or something like that, but to see them win a championship is usually very rare. And I don't think Houston is one of those teams that can win a championship. The only way I think you make a push for like that star, right? Like let's say, a lot of talks about Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant became available, I still don't think that that's best for Houston, right? Because again, like his age, he's an incredible talent. But like, what are you going to have to sell to go get him? Probably Green and Şengün and whatever else, right? Or, at least one of the two. Okay, sure. Like, let's say you could turn Green into KD. Like, would you be better? Sure. Right? But, like, I think unless you can go get, like, those two power pieces, right? Like, let's say you get Kevin Durant and Giannis, and you just sell the farm and you have them, and because you have so much depth in youth and talent, you can kind of just slot them in around those guys, then sure. Outside of that, stay the course. Right? Unless you can get two like star level talent. Jimmy Butler, been like, stay away from Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler, but you plug in Jimmy Butler on this team, I don't think that they're winning a championship. Right? I think that they, again, maybe they're better. They're not winning anything. They are one of the best young teams in the league. Right? Like they are competitive, they are fun, they are youthful, they are incredibly athletic. They have guys on guys on guys, pause, but like they have so much like back catalog talent, right? Like it's crazy, and they still have guys like, Cam Whitmore, who is an athletic specimen. And, it's kind of like, he's kind of hot and cold, but it's just like, man, he has potential to be something one day. Right. And then, Eason and all these guys, right? Like they have a clear path. I just don't want to see that because you see it so many times. And Houston is a team that wants to win and they want to win now. They don't want to win a year from now. They don't want to win 6 months. They want to win now. And I get that, and I love that, right? Because there are so many teams that care less. And there's so many teams that just like, as long as they're making money, that's all they care about, right? They've been rebuilding and retooling and doing all this stuff for 10 years and it's just going nowhere. Houston wants to win. They have a clear path, right? They thought that they had that team, a handful of years ago with Chris Paul and James Harden and all that. It's been probably longer than that now, but you get my point, right? Like, they were close, couldn't get there, finally hit the reset button, and it was like, and now you see, the trust the process, right? You see the progress. You see the process really starting to evolve. And, I don't want to see them make that poor decision. Now, if you can get like a young star, right? Like if Anthony Edwards, if Minnesota continues to implode and Anthony Edwards is like, get me out of here. I want out of here, right? Like if you can get something like that, sure, right? Or like, even like a Luka, I don't know, right? Like, because the question is like, yeah, Luka gets you to the finals and stuff, but it's just like, is his play style, right? Is that something that makes sense with this young team, right? And guys, like, what would you have to give up? I mean, I'm not going to lie. If Houston had the opportunity to get Luka, it's kind of one of those questions of like, they'll probably get him. They'll probably take him if they can. But I just, even like a Devin Booker, I'd probably like over, a KD. Not that he's better, right? KD is still, dude, is ridiculous. But it's just more so of the age factor mixed in with what you got, right? Like even Giannis, it's just like stay the course, right? And hope that like, Green, who, he's 22, 23, like let him keep taking stride. Şengün, he's only going to improve and get better, right? Like to me, those are your two guys. That's why I thought it was so odd this offseason. There was talks about them trading them, that they were shopping them around and all this. It's like, why? Like any other team, that would be their foundation. Like that would be the two guys. Like every team in the league that's rebuilding would love to have those two guys as their foundation pieces, right? I mean, think of like the teams that have been bad for years, right? Like you don't think like Utah or Toronto or Detroit or any of that would give up probably everything to get Şengün and Green as like their two cornerstone pieces and what they've been able to provide? Like, of course they would. But it's just, again, then you saw them give the new contracts. It's like, okay. But it feels like they gave those contracts like to eventually, like, okay, when that star comes, because you just keep hearing over and over and over and over and over again. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Usually that's kind of building for a reason, right? And it's just, I don't know. I think Houston is one of the best young teams in the NBA. I think you need to kind of go through the Thunder hiccup, not this current version, but like with Kevin Durant and James Harden, where it's like year one, you missed the playoffs. Year two, you lose in the first round. 3, you're missing the second round. Then you're in the conference finals. Then you're in the finals, and it's like, man, if they just kind of kept it together, they would have won a championship. And that's kind of how I feel about Houston. It's like this year they'll make the playoffs, right? They'll probably lose in round 1. Depending on the team, depending on the matchup. But, they probably lose in the first or second round. And then next season, I could see them maybe getting to the conference finals. And then the next season, maybe they're in the NBA finals. I mean, Boston is another great example, right? It's just like every year they're in the conference finals, and then finally they get over that hump, and they're in the NBA finals, and then they lose. And it's just like, and then they waited for the right pieces to come along to put around their 2 stars. You get those right pieces. Next thing you know, you're in the finals, and you finally won. Finally got over the hump, right? I just feel like Houston has the right pieces. You have your core. You have your foundation, right? Same thing with Boston. It's like they had their core. They had their foundation. They just needed like that piece or two, the higher end piece or two. And you saw like they ended up getting Derek White, and then they go get Drew Holiday, and then they get Kristaps Porzingis, and then it's like, boom, there you go, right? It's just like that's what I want to see with Houston, right? Like stay the course, grab this piece here, grab that piece there, and then it's like, okay, we're there or we're right there. It's like, okay, this is the guy, boom, that puts us over the top. And I don't even know if it has to be necessarily a star. I mean, I just think they need to get the experience. I just think at this point they need to get the reps up. If they can get the reps up, I think they're right there. But they're kind of one of those like anomaly teams. But again, you see these teams every year, right? That good, young, athletic team, they're top of the standings. It's just usually how it goes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, do you agree? Do you think Houston, they're a great team. They're not really a contender first, second round exit, but they're a very talented team. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Do you think, too, that they should kind of stay the course, right? Don't go for the shiny toy and Kevin Durant or Giannis or any of that. Stay the course. If that young star becomes available, then sure. But for right now, you have a clear path, clear direction, stick to it. Or do you think no, go, if Giannis is available, go get Giannis, right? If KD's available, go get KD, right? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.